Yeah, YouTubers, Tazman here, bringing you another episode of Foundry Virtual Tabletop 12 from the ground up. And in our last episode, we kind of finished the configure settings, all this stuff. We kind of went through it really quick, but a lot of it's self-explanatory, and a lot of it just opens up other websites and stuff like that, or has stuff that don't necessarily want to have out on the internet, like the invitation links. So in this episode, we were going to start over here with our different, what would I call these? Like our control layers, our different layers, our controls for our different things. But I think I remembered that I missed something. So, I don't think, and the reason I don't think this is because I was looking at some of the stuff as I was just about to start this recording, and I don't think we went over prototype tokens. If we did, we definitely didn't go in depth like I usually like to do. I think we did in the configure settings, but we didn't actually go over the actual token info. So what I wanted to do for this is I want to create a second template. So we have our player, and I'm thinking, let's just call our player Tazzy. And first thing I would like to point out is when I do that, it changes here. However, when I bring a token out onto the thing, if I right click on this twice, you'll see its name is still template. And that's one of the things we want to fix. The other thing I want to do is show you the difference between an NPC or a mob, maybe not an NPC, but mobs, and from players. Because even though when we come in here and we create an actor, all we have the option is create a single actor. When we get in systems, they actually have templates for all different types of things. And we can set that up. We're just going to use our basic template because we're not doing anything really big, but we're actually going to create a mob. So I'm just going to call it, maybe I'll just call it mob for now. And then we create the actor. Oh, actually that was a sort. Mob. Now we have a mob. So once again, if we go into the prototype token, you'll see that it is still called template, right? But here we have a mob and we have our player, right? So let's go ahead and configure their prototype tokens and also kind of explain what we're doing with those. So let's start with Tazzy. The way you get into it, I know you might think you can right click here and actually go into it, but you can't actually do it here. You actually have to do it from the character sheet. So if we go into Tazzy, for example, and we go into prototype token, these are all our different options for that token and how that token interacts with the canvas. So first we're going to name it Tazzy. And it doesn't matter what you name it here. Like if this is Tazzy the Great, if we had this Tazzy the Great, it's not going to change. This is just what the name of the token will actually be on the canvas itself. The one thing, and this is part of the reason I figured I didn't actually go over this before, is because usually I make some very specific settings and they're not set here. So one of the first things I like to do is usually, especially for player characters, is say always for everyone. This is displaying the name. So when I drag this out, if I update the token and I drag this out, now you can actually see it says Tazzy right there, which is exactly what I want. The other thing I like to have is always show, at least for the owner, the health bar, just so I know just at a glance how Tazzy is, and we're going to do that. Now, once I put this out here, if I modify this, if I come in here and I right click to open up the token configuration, I say Tazzy 01, one thing you're going to notice is under Tazzy the Great, if I go into prototype token, it no longer has that. So when we create a token out on the map, on the world, it doesn't actually link that prototype. It creates its own prototype token info. And this is, you know, if we have multiple. The other thing I want to point out, I'm trying to think of the order I want to do this in, because if I go, yeah, I'm going to do it. We're going to jump ahead just a little bit so we can see that resource bar, right? So we're going to go under resources, and as you can see, the default bar here is the attribute health. And you can choose, you know, I want to show the power, you know, this is that second bar. I want to show those ones that we set up, the AC value, the proficiency value, or the strength value, whatever we want. We just want health. And we don't really care about power. So I'm going to set none to that. Other words, it'll draw. Well, I can just show you real quick. So if we do power and say update token, did I do that here or here? Actually, I think I know what I did. I left it on never displayed. So if I change that to always for everyone, you'll see we have the health bar now and we have the power bar. I really don't want the power bar. And I only want this for the owner. And this is especially like if they're mobs that I don't want the players to see their health, because then, you know, it's kind of metagaming. You can see that they're going to die. Plus, I use another module that we'll go over later that is called Health Estimate, which is an awesome one that will kind of give a description of the thing. So it'll say, you know, uninjured. It will say barely injured. It'll say badly injured. It will say near death. And then it also has kind of a gradients of colors that will show you exactly, you know, the when you mouse over it will actually have those words in a different color, from green is the most healthy all the way to red, which kind of at least lets your players know that, yeah, they're starting to look pretty bad, but it's not giving them exactly what it is. So we're going to go ahead and set it to update always for owner. Now, once again, we updated this here. So if I drag another token out here, it does not have those properties. So that's one thing always to keep in mind. If I want it to be anytime I drag out a new one, if I go to a new scene and drag out that person, if I want it to be always for the one dragged out, then I do that. If it's going to be kind of a one-off type thing, you know, that this token might not be in other scenes, then it really doesn't matter. But I always try and change it in here. So we're going to come in here real quick and leave that always for everyone. And we're going to come in here and set this always for owner. The health is what we want to see. The power, we don't want a second bar. So then we're going to go ahead and hit OK. So now you'll notice when we bring out a token, now it has that information for us. Every token we bring out. The next thing we want to differentiate, and that's the next thing in our little thing here, so I'm going to delete this guy again, is the difference between a player token and a non-player token. So to do this, actually, I wanted to grab our mob real quick and update those same two values. So we're just going to call a mob again. And we're going to say always for everyone. And then under resources, we're going to say always for owner. And we're going to turn off power. So we're doing the exact same things. So if I bring out Tazzy here and I bring out a mob, one differentiating thing between a player and the mob is you might have multiple mobs of the exact same. You might have 5 zombies or something like that. The default setting for this is that if I bring out another Tazzy, for example, we'll even bring out another mob just to kind of drive this one home. Actually, I probably shouldn't do it yet because I need to have the updated prototype token. All right, so let's trying to think of the best way to do this. All right, so what we can do is right now when we drag a token out, it has no actual link to the character sheet. It actually creates its own character sheet. So if I come out, bring out a Tazzy the Great and another Tazzy the Great, and pretend these are two different scenes. Let's say on this scene, Tazzy the Great gets injured, right? So we say minus, not 10 because that's all the health they have. Let's do minus 5, take them down to half health. So you'll notice that if I drag out another Tazzy the Great and another, this token has now had its own character sheet and everything kind of set up. If I go delete that and we go into our Tazzy the Great and say, well, you know what, this is the actual player token. If they get hurt and we go to another scene of a city and they need to go find a hospital, I want to keep track of that information that they got hurt. So because you have those two type of things, you have your mobs, and where you have zombie 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if zombie 1 gets hurt, you don't want it to reflect on zombie 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? You want it only to be that one. Hopefully this is clear, or at least kind of clear. So what we want to do is we actually want to say link actor data, and what this will do is actually link the prototype token that we set up in here directly to this character sheet, which means that if the token takes damage, it's actually recorded in the character sheet here, and if I drag out another token, we'll actually see that it takes the damage as well. So I'm going to click update token real quick. We're going to drag out 2 Tazzies again, and now Tazzy's going to take that 5 damage, and you'll see both of them actually took the damage. If I take out another Tazzy, they all have the damage. If I double click it, we can see that 5 damage is on the sheet. If I click up here and do it, we can see 5 damages on the sheet. So player tokens, you want to be this way, so that if I go to the next level, this stuff is all persistent. Mobs are different than that. So mobs, if we drag out a mob here and another mob and another mob, actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about one other thing before we do this, because it'll actually work good. So we're going to go into our prototype token for our mob, because there's another setting that we might want that we don't necessarily want for our players, right? And that's this section right here. So append number to name. This will automatically make it so mob becomes mob parenthesis a number. Or you can have it automatically append an adjective to the name. So this is if I have 12 zombies out there and someone say, okay, I want to attack that mob. You don't have to say, which mob are you talking about? You can either have it have a number, or you can have it have more kind of an adjective. I like the adjective myself, so it's not like mob 3, mob 4, mob 5, mob 6. But we're going to do both of them just to give you an idea. So we're going to go ahead and update the token. Now if we drag out a mob, you'll see we have mob 1, mob 2, mob 3, mob 4, and so on and so forth. If we do the same thing, whoops, I meant to click that, and then prototype token. But now we say adjective, it just grabs a bunch of random adjectives. Now, I've never actually seen it do the same one twice. It seems like there's a pretty big list. There could be a chance, but then all you do is delete the one that was a repeat and bring a new one out. So now we have a guilty mob. We have, we have a defiant mob. We have a sleepy mob. We have a calm mob. I almost said clam. We have a nervous mob, and we have an arrogant mob. So now your players can actually see these and say, oh, I want to attack the guilty mob, right? And know exactly which one it is. All right, so let's move on really quick. I'm trying to think which one. I don't think it matters right now. So I'm going to close that just so it's out of the way. So that is what these are. I like my mobs to actually have this. If you prefer the numbers, check that one. I imagine you could check both of them, and then you get angry mob 1, sleepy mob 2, or something like that. Never really mess with that. The other thing here is we have rotation. So if we lock rotation, obviously it's going to make it so we cannot rotate that mob. These are some other things that I really didn't go over because we didn't have a scene necessarily. But if you hold shift and you rotate, or is it control? It might be alt. No. If we click on, oh, maybe I needed to click on it. Yes, there we go. I had to click on it. So if I hold shift and I roll the mouse wheel over it, you'll see that I can rotate this mob, and it goes in 15-degree increments. If I hold control, now I have a much more fine control of how much I move said mob. I can, keep rolling the wheel until it goes all the way. So if you have it selected and you hold shift, you can move in 15-degree increments. If I hold control, I can do that. Now, if I hold shift while the mob is selected and I hit using the WASD keys like A, will automatically move it as if I'm going to the left. S is down, W is up, D is to the right. If I hit S and D at the same time, we will get a down to the right, so we get a diagonal. So those are ways that you can actually rotate your mob, but maybe you don't want these mobs to be rotated. So you can actually lock their rotations. So when they come into the world, they're locked in at a rotation. Usually I don't mess with that. Oh, this is going to be a long video because we have all these tabs to go over. I don't know how in depth we're going to go over each tab. I'm going to try and at least give you a good idea of what they are. So that's the rotation. If we want every time we bring it in to have a 180-degree rotation so that it's facing up, we can do that. So that's something I really don't touch. I like my mobs to move, and I actually use a module called, I think it's called auto rotate. And what that does is if I move my mob this way, it automatically rotates it that way. And even if you do diagonals by hitting like WA or S and D, or S and A or W and D, it will automatically rotate the token to face that direction. Now that works the best obviously with tokens that are top down. Usually if they're kind of like this, it's a little less, that might be a time when you want to lock the token when it's like just a round token with a face in it. Kind of can get the idea of facing and stuff, but not quite as much. All right, so the next thing is the occultation radius. This is something that's going to come up when the occlusion radius. This is going to come up more when we actually talk about tiles and overhead tiles. We kind of did that already, but what this does is if you have a certain setting in a tile, which we will do later, if I move under an overhead tile, this is how big the circle that it's going to basically it's going to fade or disappear that section. Like I said, this will make a lot more sense later. Then we have the default token disposition. This is how this token is reacting to pretty much everyone. Generally, your tokens are all going to be hostile, but like if you have a token that is not, and maybe what we could do is this real quick. We could bring out a couple tokens here. And we can set these up individually now. So I'm going to do this one. We're going to leave this one hostile. We're going to set this one to friendly. Update token. We're going to set this one to secret. And we're going to set this one to neutral? I thought hostile was at the top. So what this does is now when I mouse over them, they actually have a box around them of a color. This will help your players know that, yeah, this is a hostile mob. However, sometimes you might not want them to know that. You might want to say, oh yeah, it's a secret. Or you could trick them saying this is a guy that's acting friendly, and then neutral. So hostile is red. Friendly is kind of this tealish color. Maybe if I zoom in, it'll help. So red, we got kind of this tealish blue color for friendly. We got this one that actually looks like eyes because of the stuff on the table. That's kind of cool looking. Or the grain or something. So sorry, I don't get distracted easily. Purple is secret, where they don't know. And then this yellow is going to be our neutral. So you can actually use that to, you know, give your players an idea of the disposition of a token. Usually I just leave it red. Even if they're friendly, I don't usually get that into the game, but you can. So that's one of the really cool things. Whew, we're done with that first tab, and we're only at 20 minutes. I wanted to get through this. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. The rest of these tabs we might actually get through, I don't know how quick. All right, so the next is going to be the appearance, and the appearance is obviously going to be the image for the token. Just like we can come in here and we can click on this guy and choose an image for a thing, which I didn't do. Let's go into assets. Let's just use maybe a skeleton. So we'll do a creature. Skeleton would probably be under the undead. Let's go see what we got. Do we have any cool ones? We could do a white. Aren't these whites? Or gas? Here we go. Here's a nice little skeleton. So one thing I like to do so that usually your portrait and your token is actually different. A lot of times I do them the same. Oh, this is a minotaur. But when I don't have an individual portrait and stuff, when I select this, I like to double click it, hit C, go ahead and select that, and now you'll see there's our mob thing. Then when I click in prototype token and go here, I can actually paste it. Lots of times it does put it in there for you, but there are times that it won't, and I'm not exactly sure what causes it to or doesn't, but I like to have that on the clipboard just in case. So now, because we've done that, if we drag out our mob, we can actually see it's our skeleton. Now, this is actually a really good point right here too. You'll notice that he's kind of hard to see, and when we get here, we'll explain how to make it so it's a little easier to distinguish that guy. So we have our wildcard images is, let's say I have a folder of the undead guys. I can actually have it do a random one when we pull it out. I don't know if it'll do it right away. So it will grab from that area, but it will look, and we'll see if it does it. Doesn't look like it's doing it quite like I'm expecting it to. Let me just see, did I miss any other things? I think what you need to do, whoop, no, leave that at 1. This is one thing you got to be careful of. If you're scrolling down and it happens to go over one of these bars, the mouse wheel will start scrolling that. Another module that sometimes I use, I think it might actually even be called, might even be considered an old module for a version and doesn't have guaranteed compatibility with this, but there's one called disable scroll wheel, or disable, what's it called? Oops, I hit the wrong button there. Save and return. I just want to check it real quick. So if we go into manage module, it's called disable, or is it SCR? I might not even have it in my list because I thought they fixed it, but apparently they didn't. But anyway, what it does is disables the, like if you just mouse over it, you have to hold control and then you can scroll wheel or something over those. I definitely think I want that because that's one thing that can be annoying, that you don't remember what the default setting was. In that case, it was scale, and I know what the scale is. Anyway, so yeah, our dimensions is how big that token is in a single square. So if our square is this little guy right here, and here we actually have our, I don't think we gridded this, did we? I don't remember. But basically in a grid, this is how it's going to fit in the grid. 1 to 1 is basically taking up the grid. If we went 0.5, it's going to, as it says here, it's going to try and make it smaller. This is the hexagonal shape. So if you have a token on a hexagonal grid, you might need to change one of these. We're not messing with that, so we're just going to leave that default. Image fit mode is how that token actually fits on the thing. Sometimes the image might go a little larger. I'm trying to think if I can do this here somewhere. So if we look at this guy, you'll see he's pretty tiny here. So he's, you know, just right there. But if we actually set the fill, I think it is, or cover maybe. If we set it to that and we drag one out, if he has an axe that maybe goes over the grid, that will allow it to do it. In other words, it will shrink the token to actually fit it in there. It's a pretty small little minotaur. All right, back in here again. Oh man. All right, so moving on with appearance. So that's basically how I think contain was the default. The anchor is where exactly it considers the kind of the center of the token image. So this would be an offset, like right now it's in the center. If I moved it over here, that would actually push the token out of the square bit. The scale obviously is how big the token is compared to one square. Right now, if you look really close, probably better to do it out here. I saw it somewhere, I thought. Maybe I didn't. Actually, I don't think we have a grid on this one yet. But the reason it's doing that, actually you can kind of see it right here. You can see there's, even though the tiles are right here, you can see that there's actually lines right there as well. Yeah, here you can see it right there and there. So this is how big that tile is in a grid. So this is what I would consider our normal size. If we wanted it to be 2 times, then we would go to here, and when we update the token and drag him out, you'll see that now this one is actually using up double the size, which is probably what we want for this. I mean, it's not quite an entire square, but it is a little bigger than that. Let's go ahead and do that again. Prototype token. I need to quit closing that. All right, so continuing on, we also have the mirror image. When you drag out a token, do you want it to be flipped? It's not as noticeable with like this. So if we drag this guy out, you'll see that his axe is clearly on that side. If we say we want to flip horizontally and update the token, drag it out, and now you'll see it's been flipped. It's on this side. You can also do top to bottom with that. I usually just leave them default. I don't have any reason to do that. But here is the part I wanted to talk about. Let's go ahead and put this back down to 1. Can we actually put it in there? I don't remember. There we go. So put it to 1. We'll go ahead and leave this. This is the tint color of the token. So this is a tint on top of the token. Another thing I don't mess with, I just leave it default. But if you wanted the token to have kind of a red tint, you just change this to red. But this is a really cool thing that started with version 12, is the dynamic token rings. So the first thing you can do here is you can enable it. I wonder if I have to update the token. Yeah, I do. So when we first place this token in here, if I hit update token, he'll be nice and small again. But you can see it has now created a little token ring for our token, right? All automatic, which is awesome. But there are some options we can do with this. So one is the ring's enabled. We can change the ring color, which is the outer, it's kind of a transparency. I mean, it's not going to be pure black. But if we wanted to say change our ring color to red, and the background color, which is this color in here, let's say we want to change that just to green so it really kind of stands out. And we can also have a subject, the texture So we can say what artwork is going to be in there. We can do that. And then of course you can do, is it subject to scale corrections? And then we have these cool little ring effects. We'll be doing those in just a second, but one thing I want to show you now is, I didn't do it, did I? Oh, actually I did. I just need to drag out a new token. So now you can see that the ring color here, whoops, the ring color is that red, the background is the green, and then we have kind of the stone look. Now some really cool things you can do with the token rings is, let's have our guy take a little bit of damage here. Let's do -5. Well, actually I didn't enable it, did I? Actually, might be system. Let's see. Ring pulse, I think, might be what we need. I'm just going to turn on all of them and see what it does. So let's try and heal 5. So let's right click, do +5. No, might be with other systems that are a little more complex. But a cool thing you can do with the rings, I know it works definitely in D&D's system, I think it works also in Pathfinder, is when they take damage, oh, actually, you know what? I forgot. I need to do this again. Now you can see we have some effects going on it. You can see, let's just talk about these. Right now we have all of them, which is kind of a mess. But the ring gradient is kind of how the ring here has this gradient to it that's red to greenish. The ring pulse is where it's kind of looking like it's pulsing. The background wave is this squiggly, or the circular thing going out. And spherical pulse is, I don't remember which one's spherical. Let's go ahead and update token. We'll re-drag it out and see what spherical pulse is. Do we see any? Kind of looks like the token is pulsing. Like I can see it's pulsing like from invisible to not to visible, because you can actually see the ring through here. Let's see now if I brought out one, if I do -5. No. All right, fine. Let's just go +5. So anyway, when you take damage in some systems, it will actually flash the ring. So it'll flash it red, and when you heal, it'll flash it green at you. Unless I'm missing a setting in here, and I don't think I am, that is not in here. So the spherical pulse is that one that we just talked about. Let's go ahead and get rid of that again. Actually, you know what? We're going to grab Tazzy real quick, who's still injured. Let's go ahead and heal Tazzy up. We can do it in here because the token is linked to the sheet, the main sheet. So we can do that. The other thing I want to do then is also, let's go get an image for Tazzy. So we're going to go grab assets, tokens. Oh, we're at 33. We might only get through half of this. I got to hurry. Let's do heroes. Let's say Tazzy is an elf. Let's just look at him and find a decent looking one. These don't all look like elves. Let's just do that one, just to have one. Oh, and it looks like it did update, so good, because I forgot to do that. Oh, actually, I was doing that on the token. Let's do it here then. Do this, do V, and say select. Oh, wait. No, that's the wrong one. I didn't do this one. Wait, I think I messed everything up now. Hold on, go back out. Prototype token, is that where I set it? So this is Tazzy the Great. Okay, appearance, let's go back in here again. We'll scroll down to, nope, these are the undeads. Not bird folk, elf. This is part of the reason I like to, let's grab that guy. Okay, C, select file. That will change. I think I didn't do it here, did I? All right, let's do this, do V, hit select. There we go. So now we have a token for Tazzy. And I believe it is not updated here because we already changed this once. So let's do that, do V, and now we can hit update token. Okay, so now I got to think what I want. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. All right, so we're going to drag Tazzy out real quick. We don't need to have a token ring or anything like that. But one thing I wanted to point out is, so I have given ownership to Tazzy, and I actually have an open table where I have that user, as you can see, is they're joined, right? I'm going to configure ownership, and I've given ownership of Tazzy the token, maybe I shouldn't have done that, to player Tazzy, and you can see here that they're owner. If I go get on Tazzy, which is right here, you'll notice I can see Tazzy, but I'm not seeing anything else, and that is because of the next thing on the prototype token page. So if we go in here, click here, oh, this is going to be a long video, I'm so sorry guys. If we go under vision is not enabled on Tazzy, so that's why we're not seeing anything. We don't have any lights on the scene or anything like that, and Tazzy doesn't have any vision. So right now, if I say Tazzy has vision or bring them on the scene, they still might not be able to see anything because we don't have any lights. We haven't said that Tazzy has dark vision or anything like that. But actually, because I don't have any lights, it actually is shown. Oh, is that it? I think that was a test I did. I need to get rid of that. There it is. All right. So anyway, as you can see, Tazzy now, that's one thing. If you put a token on there and your player says, I don't see anything but black, that could be the very culprit to check first. Make sure that vision is enabled on the token. All right, let's move on. So under vision, we can say vision enabled. We can say what the vision range is. If they don't have any sight, then obviously 0. If they have like dark vision or something like that, or what their actual vision range is, then you can put it in here. So we could say, you know, without any light, let's just make it so it's like 15 and say update. I think what that does is even in this scene, let's drag out a Tazzy again, even in this scene where we had that, I think if I actually, let's go reset the lighting real quick. Don't worry, we're going to go over all this stuff. But if I come in here, no, this is just because it's a regular scene, has full vision right now. So this isn't a really great example, but what I wanted to really show you is that if they don't see anything, they say I can't see anything, that is going to be the first thing to check, is if the token actually has vision and if vision is enabled on the scene. I don't think it's enabled on the scene. All right, so let's delete Tazzy again. I need to click on person and that, there we go. And go back in here, 1 second. All right, go back into the prototype token, go to vision. So your options in here are visions enabled, what the vision range is in grid units, the vision angle. So if you wanted to make it more realistic to being a human where you can't see behind you all the time, you could set it like to 270, which would give you your peripheral vision and the ability to, you know, see in front of you. But anything behind you would not be visible when you turn away from it. Most people just leave it on 360. I leave it on 360. So if they have a basic vision, you can just set in here that it is basic vision. If they have dark vision, monochromatic, tremor sense, or light amplification, you can set those. This is kind of like a, I think I can do this and actually show you the different types. I might have to go enable. And you can see when I click on Tazzy that this ring kind of appears. Let's go make sure under test here that we actually had lighting, token vision, fog of exploration. Looks like that's all in. Turn off global illumination. And then go reset this. And we can talk about the vision types, I think. So if I click on Tassie, you'll see that they have dark vision. I think that's what I set it to. And we set it to 15 feet. Let's see. I'm actually just doing the token itself instead of through the other thing, so I don't have to keep opening the other page. So as you can see, we have 15 foot, and it's dark vision. So this is what dark vision is. Everything is grayscale. If you played D&D or other RPGs, you probably already know this. Oops, wrong thing. So now let's go try some of these other vision modes. So we have monochromatic, which is going to be a lot like dark vision. However, I think if there is lighting in here, we still see this. Dark vision is grayscale if it's dark, but if there's actual lights, we can actually see. Let's just see if this works a little bit. I'm not going to mess with it right now. We'll go over that later. But monochromatic is like dark vision, except for the fact that I think even when there is light, you still see gray. You're just always gray. Tremor sense is kind of like blind. You'll get kind of this cool effect here. And a token, if I remember right, actually has a different... So if there's a mob there, you won't necessarily see the mob token. Nope, actually this isn't working the way I was thinking it was. But this is saying that you're able to see it through your tremor sense. So if any token came in here and was touching the ground and walking, you would actually be able to say, yep, I can sense them. I might not be able to see them with my eyeballs, but I can sense them. And they are there. Let's do the next one, which is light amplification. This kind of reminds me of just night vision. Kind of gives you a night vision effect. And then, of course, basic vision is just your regular vision type. So we'll go ahead and leave that. Then under here, we actually have detection modes. So this is for detecting things. So light perception, we can sense that forever away, right? If we go and do another one, for example, we could say, let's try, maybe it's this one. We can try this and see if it works. So let's say this is at that. And then if we make this guy invisible, let's see if this works. I don't remember. I know there's... So we can make a token invisible here, but I'm not sure if that's the same as a condition invisible. Death, frozen, disease, weakened. Oh, there's invisible, actually. That's the one I wanted. We can undo this one. So you can see this token is invisible. If I click on them, you can see they are detecting that invisible unit. Whereas if they didn't have that sense, you'll see they no longer see that unit. So you can actually come in here and configure senses so that, you know, if an invisible unit gets within 15 feet of this person, they'll start seeing a glowing outline of them, which is kind of cool. You can also make it so, you know, they sense the tremor. This guy's on the ground, so he's sensing that right there is the tremor from him. This is just see everything, sense everything, kind of same. See invisibility, which is kind of like sense invisibility. Uses the same thing. The dark vision, now obviously you can't see him because, well, he doesn't have the right thing. And then light perception is just default. So right now he's able to see invisibility. So this is really good that, you know, other players here wouldn't be able to see this person. So if we dragged another Tassie over here, since we're modifying the token itself, you'll see they only have dark vision. They can't see anything. This one can actually sense that mob there. So kind of gives you the nice immersiveness of almost playing just a computer game kind of thing. Let's go and delete that. Oh my goodness, we're at 45 minutes. Oh, this is going to be an hour-long video, guys. I'm so sorry. So that is that, and then you have your advanced options, which is what the color is, just tweaking all the different, how the vision actually works. I'm not going to go into this. These are very well explained, and I never really touched them myself. But what this would do is like your default vision, if it's a dark vision all the time, as we had configured, I think on the token, on the main token, this would be how that is represented to you. Next one is light. Now light is, am I carrying some kind of light source? So if I'm carrying a torch, for example, let's just say I'm carrying a candle, maybe that gives me a 5-foot dim and a 5-foot bright, right? We have emission angle once again, the light color. If you leave it default, it's just going to be kind of like this. If we want to kind of make it, maybe it's a magical candle, kind of with a bluish colored flame, blue-greenish, teal, whatever. Maybe we should go disable the vision thing here. You can now see, because we've swapped, that now we have this candle about us. If I go and do basic configuration, basic vision, we can just leave that. Some of it you can't actually see until we get into our stuff over here. So I'm not going to go into that. So anyway, as you can see, now we have this nice little glowing candle. It's very static, not doing much of anything. We can also make it the color intensity, so it's super bright, not very bright, however we want. Then we have light animation. This is where it's kind of cool. We can make it more like a candle by saying it's like a torch. And now you'll see we have a super bright right next to us, and then we have kind of this flickering on the outer edges. We have all these special effects we can use, like if we want chroma, this is gonna more or less ignore the color because it has its own built-in. We have one that's kind of cool is the fairy light, which is kind of Christmassy colors, or rainbow colors, I guess is probably better. But usually, candle's just going to be like a torch. And then you can change the animation speed, how fast it flickers, or how slow it flickers. The animation intensity is, as you can see, that's a super bright one, to here where it almost looks like just his head is the light, the main source. And then, of course, if there's actually direction to it, such as swirling rainbow here, and we might need to make it more intense so you can see the swirling. You can see that this is swirling very slowly. Let's make it faster. You can see that it's swirling kind of in this direction. We click on that. Now it's swirling in this direction. And the last thing is going to be information about the actual lighting again. Once again, not going to go into that. I usually leave all the defaults. And the final tab is the one we've already gone over, which is the resources. Oh, 50 minutes. So there you go. There is the prototype token. Hopefully we covered it well enough for you to be happy and really understand what is going on with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Aside from that, comment, like, and subscribe. Click that little notification bell. Join my Discord channel. Tell other people about my channel. Have them check it out if they like what they see, can sub. And yeah, that's it, my friends. Until next time, I'll be seeing you later. Bye.